Hey going, I'm Mixy, and we're back with a recap and review of Fallout Season 2 Episode 4, the halfway mark. Alright, we're now up to date, thank God. This episode is a bit more miss than hit. Once again, we have characters and factions being introduced and then eliminated immediately. The Brotherhood are still a bunch of clowns, Lucy lets her hair down a little, and Norm and Bud's buds start exploring on their wasteland adventure. We also get an update to the origins of a species which may upset some people. At this point, it's just become like an amusement park ride. Hey, here's that thing that you recognise. And now it's gone, but don't worry because here's another thing you recognise. Anyway, let's get stuck into it. Spoilers! In the meantime, drop us a like and subscribe. Why not? Fallout Season 2 Episode 4 begins on the Alaskan front. Cooper and Charlie are having difficulties with their power armor and sees something moving in the wreckage of a downed vertibird, but before he can investigate it further, he's attacked by a squad of Chinese soldiers. Cooper's suit is damaged too much and he is incapacitated, which turns out to work in his favour, as the noise he heard turns out to be a deathclaw, which tears apart the Chinese troops. Of course, they have to work in an okie dokie. The leader of the Chinese squadron makes a comment that soon they will be in the same situation once their scientists get their hands on power armor technology. The Deathclaw is conveniently distracted by gunfire, but not before giving Cooper the old snifferoo. It seems like it's investigating him, smelling him. I wonder if they managed to train or genetically modify it to recognise US troops. That could possibly set Deathclaws up to be an ally later in the series. Imagine that. First we had xenomorphs being turned into lapdogs for robotic girls in Alien Earth. Now we'll have Deathclaws on command in Fallout. What a year for TV, yeesh. So this is one of those things where I wonder, what do people who've never played the games think about this? This thing is completely unique to Fallout, a genetically modified Jackson's chameleon. Do newcomers to Fallout think that this is a dragon and Cooper Howard's a knight in shining armour? This will now be the first depiction of Deathclaws in the Fallout canon. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I'll be very disappointed if Deathclaws come and go in the space of one episode. Additionally, could a Deathclaw survive in the snow? Aren't they giant lizards and cold-blooded? Maybe they got genetically modified to be immune to cold. Maximus and Thaddeus are discussing what to do about the death of Xander Harkness, the Commonwealth emissary. Ugh, the word emissary just reminded me of Starfield, speaking of slop. So this is the Sunset Sarsaparilla factory after all. Why does Thaddeus bother to uncap all of these bottles? Why not find the hopper where the bottle caps are fed into the plant and just take them all at once, instead of waiting until they're sealed onto the bottles? But then he wouldn't need a child army and we wouldn't get the scene with Xander wanting to terminate the abominations. See, it's there because the plot needs it. Also, what's the story with the Ghoul serum? Don't they need it regularly to prevent themselves from turning feral? Maybe they have a stash of it somewhere off screen. And where did he get these kids from? It's been what, a week since the end of the last season? Hank was fleeing to Vegas and Lucy and the Ghoul were on his tail. Stop thinking about it, just eat your popcorn and look at the funny people. So now I know why we don't see Aaron Moten. This guy is very wooden. So the Brotherhood tracked Xander's vertibird to the SARS plant, and Maximus's big idea is to have Thaddeus wear the spare suit that Maximus was wearing and pass himself off as Xander. This may be one of the biggest cringe moments of the series. I thought it was stupid when he bumped his head the second time, but a third? Come on, man. Thaddeus must have gone to the K-Vest school of playing it cool. God damn. Your own life and the lives of those kids are on the line. This is why no one takes this show seriously. You get some massive stakes and they all treat it like it's a big game. Whee! Isn't this fun? You know when the main characters act like morons that nothing bad will ever happen to them. They all have some very impressive plot armor, literally. Cut to Lucy waking up with a drip in her arm. The NCR gave her some meds. Okay, first of all, why did the Ghoul bring her back to the NCR to recuperate when he just gave the Legion their location? Unless he didn't. Hopefully they're too busy infighting because they have the NCR trio boxed in. Secondly, is it really a smart thing to give a person highly addictive drugs without their consent? Now she's all jacked up on buff out. Lucy seems to have recovered from a crucifixion pretty well. Even her chapped lips have healed. The NCR remnants drop a truth bomb, too soon, on Lucy that someone blew up Shady Sands. I guess no one let it be known that the perpetrator was from a vault. A vault number 33? Like the Vault 33 jumpsuit Lucy has been wearing? When the Ghoul and Lucy are leaving camp, I was wondering what was wrong with Walton Goggins' arm. It's wandering all over the place. So I now believe it to be that he's holding onto the dog's leash, and it's pulling against it. So they went to the trouble of digitally removing the leash on a dog that's basically out of shot the entire time. Back to Vault 33, and Reg's incest group is a hit because they have water available during a period of water rationing. We get a terrible attempt at humour with the "nice jugs" line, which is barely audible, by the way. This has to be the most poorly run vault. Who in their right mind would give authorization for people to use water during a water crisis just so you can get them out of your hair so you can concentrate on the impending water crisis? I'm sorry, I don't care what rules are in place, but if you have a water crisis and people are wasting water, I don't care if it's written into the Constitution. You're getting your water rights revoked. And if you try anything, you'll be lined up against a wall with a blindfold. I do like how they use the same sound effects that the game uses. Last episode it was the grenades and the Pip-Boy notifications. This episode it's the pump handle squeak that stood out. Lucy's now addicted to buff out, so the Ghoul's suggestion is do more drugs. Not sure that's the best idea. You know you're going into a potentially hostile environment and you don't know how she'll handle it, but hey, you do you. Will she even have a come down on the other side? 4 to 5 days of vomiting, pain and lying around. Anyone get the feeling she'll get a dose of Addictol or even a Rad Scorpion egg omelette? Back to the Brotherhood for 2 minutes as Maximus reveals to Dane that he killed Xander and that he's now going to kill Quintus. About time. He didn't tell Dane that Thaddeus is in Xander's power armor, so they're gonna have a shock when they turn around and see Xander's Commonwealth power armor walking around. Back to Buds, and they've happened to cross an unmolested van full of Blamco mac and cheese. Nice find. Good mouthfeel. This bird, Claudia, must have gone into the vault on her first day. She drove across the bridge in the background a week ago to a job interview. Maybe Bud saw something in her. Or put something in her. You know, it's better not to think about it. This Ronnie guy is a real spanner in the works. He's aware of what the phases of the plan are, and Norm has no idea. So he might be able to expose Norm as a fraud, or, look at the giant 33 on his back. Ooh, Future Enterprise Ventures, FEV. We're getting another FEV retcon. Well, they are very Moorish. Maybe they should arm themselves. Surely there's a nice police baton or Bowie knife somewhere. So Woody and Davey keep getting their lefts and rights mixed up. Here's an idea, swap houses. If your old directions lead you to Davey's house, surely Davey's old directions lead to Woody's house. But nah, we'll just dismiss it, so they can foment dissent regarding a return to Vault 33. Steph meets with Betty to discuss Betty's discovery that Vault 31 is empty, and that Vault 33 is out of water. Steph plays hardball and says that the only thing that matters now is her baby. You mean Chet Jr.? Or are you talking about the vault? Steph wants something sensitive in return for helping with the water issue, but she could have just agreed to open the vaults for a couple of days and retrieved it herself. Is it the mind control device Hank used on the NCR caravan that destroyed Shady Sands? She did say it was from before the war. Woody's got himself lost again and eavesdrops on Steph and Betty's conversation. I had to put on subtitles to work out what Steph was saying here. I also had to look up what Solvang was, as I'd never heard of it before. Write in the comments if Solvang is used as a frame of reference in the USA, like saying someone's from Malibu or the Hamptons. I assume it denotes a comfortable lifestyle. Solvang looks kind of like a fake Tudor-style village, but for those of us outside the USA, I'd never even heard of it before. Lucy and the Ghoul make it to Freeside, but it appears deserted beside the ghoulified remains of the kings. Again, non-gamers are going to have no idea who they are, other than Elvis impersonators. Elvis impersonating was very popular from 1950 all the way up to 2077. This episode is chock full of gore. Death claws ripping people apart, kings having their faces imploded with shotguns. Oh, Jesus. Hey, I liked the look on the ghoul's face when Lucy said, "They're just ghouls, right?" A little bit of character peeking through. Also, I may be reading too much into this, but did the ghoul just give the OK sign instead of Howard Cooper's signature thumbs up because the thumbs up reminds him too much of Vault-Tec? I'm running with it. Kill cam to end it. Pulling out all the references. You can really tell the difference in nose hole quality between the ghoul and the lesser specimens. Lucy's getting the shakes and the fries. Now I've made myself hungry. And we leave Lucy and the ghoul staring at the entrance to the strip in broad daylight to rejoin Thaddeus in the commissary of the Brotherhood of Steel in Area 51. Still putting on his best K-Vest act, I see. Well, Elder McRae did follow through on her promise to stab Mr. Cornetto in the mouth, so at least we know she's a woman of her word. There's a lot of really important people/objects that are just left totally unguarded in this base. I mean, last episode Xander flew a vertibird in the front door totally unannounced and there was no lookout. Dane is going for the cold fusion McMuffin. I always thought cold fusion was a process, not an object, but here we are, me with egg on my face. The most important object probably in the world, and it's just sitting there, ripe for the taking. How convenient. So Quintus was the knight who found Maximus in the fridge. Who could have guessed? Very subtle having this treasonous conversation in front of half the base. Wait, Maximus? You don't have plans? You just plan to disguise Thaddeus as Xander. You plan to come and kill Quintus. I'm 99% sure you have plans, but I could be hallucinating this whole show. That would be kind of nice, right? This scene sucks balls. Maximus knows he's lost Quintus, yet he lets him walk all over the place. Even after he says he should never have shown mercy to him, he still lets him go into a drawer. By the way, Quintus, maybe have a personal guard, especially when you're planning an insurrection, and keep your sidearm on you at all times. These people are just the worst. One guy comes in accusing the other two of betrayal and taking the artifact, but then when McRae knifes Mr. Columbia's guns, he just stands there and is all, "Whoa, that's cool." He then fires a single shot. Maximus chains the door on Quintus. Good thing no one was anywhere around for miles. Except for Dane and Thaddeus, who has never been in this building before. Dane hands Maximus the artifact and tells him he's the only one who's not an asshole. Clearly Dane is an adherent of Hanlon's razor. Holy balls, look how far they got in this small amount of time. That's gotta be a 20-minute hike. So when Goofus told everyone that the artifact was missing, nobody formed a perimeter or told the people in the dirigibles to prevent anyone from leaving. Woody is reporting what he heard Steph do to Steph. Look, this is just mental, I give up. The one-eyed chick is talking about optics. Cuck, chuck, Chet. Chet finds a loose panel in the drawers and it's a wallet with Steph's pre-apocalypse ID, stating that she's both Canadian and 230 odd years old. So why keep a damning document in a shared space when you're the overseer and have an office? I guess it took Lucy and the Ghoul a couple of hours to get through the gate because it is now pitch black on the set strip. Well, it's abandoned and derelict, so the Ghoul suggests they go to Freeside and see if anyone knows what's going on. Freeside, where the kings are from. The kings you just put out of their misery? Okay, I guess all the kings got ghoulified and then stumbled around to the other side of the strip. Who knows, because everything is topsy-turvy on this set. I mean the strip. At first I thought Lucy picked up a helmet. Then I thought it was a skull. But it's an egg. A Deathclaw egg. Slowest reveal ever for something we already saw in the opening scene. She said the line, "Okie dokie." Cosplayers will eat this slop up. Well, that was a lot more painful on the second watch. So Lucy and the Ghoul got patched up, got addicted to the buff out, killed the kings, and met a Deathclaw. Maximus convinced Thaddeus to imitate Xander Harkness, attempted to kill Quintus, and escaped into the desert with the artifact. Norm ate some mac and cheese and found out that Buds had a program with phasers that he now has to extract from Ronnie. Who wants to bet that all the people in the cryo tubes got impregnated with the forced evolutionary virus, and they'll turn into super mutants by season's end? Probably Steph's kid too. We never see the little tyke. And Vault 32 and 33 are in the process of falling apart. We'll probably have a civil war in 3 out of 4 factions by season's end. I really dislike the stupidity of these groups. They should never have gotten to be as powerful as they are if they're this stupid. I reckon the Deathclaw will be able to smell that the Ghoul is a war vet and won't attack him. Hopefully, we finally get to see what the deal is with House next episode. That's about the only interesting thing left. I also think the Enclave will return to reclaim their cold fusion device. But this episode was pretty lackluster. Again, a lot of the plot was muddled and nonsensical, purely driving the show to the next thing they can put on screen for you to say, "I know what that is! Another Fallout New Vegas faction dead and buried." Hopefully the White Glove Society can survive the next episode. Anyway, episode 4 of season 2 of Fallout is a 6 out of 10. Too many quick cuts between scenes. Sometimes they say 1 or 2 lines and then go to another scene. Thaddeus' terrible acting while impersonating Xander made the stakes so much lower. If they're this oblivious, you can get away with it, no worries. I'd just like to see some competent people in the Fallout universe. Help me, Robert House, you're my only hope. If you want to come and chat about Fallout or TV shows and video games, come and see me over at my YouTube gaming channel, MicksysPCGaming Live. I'm currently playing through Expedition 33. I both love it and hate it, so come watch me scream at the computer and go troppo in triumph. I'm also on Twitch over at twitch.tv/MicksysPCGaming. You can also find me on Patreon. Join now, it's free and it feels good. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you later.